Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to another episode of The Fandalorians, where we take a deep dive into the show, the Lord, and everything around our new favorite show, The Mandalorian, appearing, of course, on Disney+. Joining me, as always, we have back from his Bacta tank, fresh and ready to jump in with all of his thoughts from the East Coast himself, Mr. Don Willie.
Thank you. It is so great to be back. Thank you guys for holding it down for me while I was not here. And I'm so excited to discuss this episode of Mandalorian.
Sweet shirt, Don. Yes, and of course, from the mid-country, right on the bottom part of our screen right here, Mr. Rob Stone.
Yeah, we're back. Hopefully, I'm about 90% sure we're going to have no technical difficulties on my end this time. Everything is plugged in. Everything has been checked and double-checked, so I shouldn't have to bounce out or knock anything over or cameras turning off. So we can talk about this second episode. And yeah, it's great to have Don back so that we get that extra voice in there. I can't wait to actually hear what you thought about the first episode.
Yeah, no, we'd love to check in on all that. So, and of course, Deborah here joining us live in the chat right now. Thank you so much for joining us. Did just want to take a brief moment, it here being right now, Saturday, November 7th. We've had the big election here in the U.S. Just this morning, the AP called it for Joe Biden, who looks like that he will be the 46th president of the United States. A lot of people reacting. I think many of us, a little bit of a sigh of relief. But I know that this has been kind of a hard and rough time. In fact, I don't even know what's going on. Most likely there's a debate scheduled right now. That's always when we seem to have a show going. There could be some big announcements going on. I appreciate all of you who are joining us. Just getting away from the world out there. We're going to talk some good nerd stuff and maybe start collectively healing all together. We hope, at least. All right. But this week, we are talking about Chapter 10, The Passenger, which takes place pretty much immediately after last week's episode. It really does tail end just perfectly right into it. So we don't have any sort of break in here, a little bit of an expanded Mando adventure, but also, I don't know, almost kind of a one-off in the sense that I think it was had some really high points, some great exciting moments, not a whole lot for the overall plot drive forward, in my opinion, but still, I think a fun episode with some just stunning visuals. But let's take a listen from the group here. Let's start off with you, Don. Since you're getting back with us, what did you think about this episode? And go ahead, throw any thoughts that you, brief thoughts that you have on last week's. You can sort of give us a little summation and catch up here.
Thank you very much. So first off, just quickly about last week's episode, I think. Definitely a great start to the season, kind of reconnects us with Mando and the child. We got to go back to Tatooine. We got to find out that Boba Fett is still alive. For those of you who are like me, who have played Knights of the Old Republic, we got, nice little crate dragon in there. I mean, not a little crate dragon, but, so many visual Easter eggs, with the pod racer. We got Mando on the speeder bike. And since it was on Tatooine, also had to shout out C-3PO there. So that was awesome. And the fact that we got to see a new location on Tatooine, which was awesome. And like I said, the big reveal at the end, which I'm pretty sure people were expecting to pick up in this one, but I'm glad that he didn't, because you don't want to just roll right into Boba Fett. We need something very, very special for him. So hopefully, we get some Slave One versus the Razor Crest action or something like that. Yeah, but as far as this episode is concerned, it wasn't plot heavy, but I think, for one, that damn kid, man. Seriously. Oh my god! You know what's funny? I found a kitten a little while ago, right? About a month ago, and small thing. He's about like the size of this cup, maybe even smaller, right? He reminds me of the child because he's always getting into a whole bunch of stuff. And he's like, "No, don't do that, no," and just like gives you a look like, but why can't I do the thing? Why can't I do the thing? The same thing that the child is doing. He's like, "No, stop eating the eggs." But why can't I eat the eggs? I'm like, dude, seriously, those are her eggs. You see her, and he almost gets them killed. I'm like, come on, kid. Do you not have any sense of self-preservation at this point?
No, I think there's definitely going to be a little discussion on the possible genocidal tendencies of Baby Yoda at his young age. But yeah.
Yeah, man. Between him, just devouring. First, it was devouring the frogs, which is like, okay, we get it, But then once you start, devouring sentient life beings, life forms, offspring, it's like, dude, no, what do you? Have some sort of compassion, please.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's definitely got some border issues, I think Baby Yoda has, But he's only 50. He's still learning about the world. Or she. We haven't actually set what gender, if there is an actual gender for the child.
Yeah.
So I don't want to put any, labels at this stage. All right. Anything else otherwise from this episode that struck you big?
Well, we got the return of Dave Filoni as X-Wing pilot.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. These guys remembered him from that prison.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was necessarily that they just remembered the Razor Crest specifically, or if it was when he turned on the beacon. They were like, something seems a little odd here. Last time we picked up a beacon on a Razor Crest, last time there was a ping on a Razor Crest was at that prison. So
yeah.
Who knows? Oh, but it also could have been the guard, because the guard mentioned about him being saved by a Mandalorian on a Razor Crest.
Well, I think they had would have had the videos of whatever was going on the ship, so that's where they said they did try to save him. But yeah, there's definitely bits that I want to talk to about all of that too. I don't want to distract from right now. Just a quick little summation. Well, all right. What about yourself, Rob? What was your opinion on this episode? I see the Fett-man didn't do his usual review. I'm sure I don't know what's up with him, but I'm glad we at least get your side of things this week. What was your thoughts on this episode?
Well, yeah, the Fett-man and I needed to take a break because of mental exhaustion from everything that's been going on, and so we're gonna he'll be back next Friday. But I wanted to just take this to just be, just me alone, no bells and whistles, because I think it's just that kind of time to I don't know, not to put too much of a strain on myself, but I loved this episode because it's just, again, we're talking about a live action cartoon, and this stays on brand for like any kind of, if you ever watched the Clone Wars or Rebels, I mean, this is basically that kind of stuff where you got your adventure, you get your characters get going on a crazy little adventure that's not plot heavy, but I enjoyed the world exploring and the different creatures and the relationship between Mando and the child, and him trying to continue his own personal journey of growth, where he's trying to communicate with someone that he doesn't speak their language, they don't speak his, and trying to keep a homicidal baby away from eggs and not letting the mother know about it. Trying to ride that line of like, if she starts counting those eggs, we're in trouble. Because I mean, I feel like she took a bath with those things. I have a feeling she knows how many there are, or she very well could if she was really paying attention. And him on the other side, you can't take your eyes off him because he'll wake up a bunch of spiders too. So I thought it was just a lot of fun. And there's a lot of people that have been kind of disappointed. I've been talking to some people that been disappointed in the first couple of episodes, but Star Wars used to be fun, and that's what this show brought back in season 1, and it's what it's continuing to doing, and it's staying on brand, just like all the other kind of family-friendly stuff like the Clone Wars and Rebels and other things like that have been doing. And so I just take it out from face value that it's just a really fun episode, and I just dug like all the locations. I love the practical effects. I loved like seeing the X-Wings back. Just a visual feast at the beginning. The beginning was great. And just that like moment, just like the first episode showing Mando does not screw around. Like you think he's gonna let anybody, he can be serious when he wants, but he'll do it in like the most fun way. And just like when he let that guy hang upside down and let the monsters get at him, he does the same thing with the guy who tries to take his rocket pack away, and I just loved it. So yeah, this is just another solid episode, and just continue making stuff that's fun. Take as long as you need to tell this story. I'm not in any hurry.
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, this was definitely one episode that felt the most like this is what you would do if you got together with your friends and y'all brought your toys and this was the adventure you're going to have. All right, well, what was doing last time? All right, well, these bad guys come. All right, well, we have this great little shootout and this little fight, and then, yeah, I'll use my remote control jetpack to fly them off. And the next thing is, all right, we get our, X-Wings in together, and now we're going to do the space battle. I mean, it really was a super fun episode. And I agree with you. It didn't have to necessarily move the plot forward, but it had some great giant moments and really, I think some beautiful, like I was mentioning before, really some beautiful shots, both the X-Wing fight, a lot of the shots that they had on that, all of the ice cavern stuff, the scary spiders, all of that was, I think, really just marvelously presented. So yeah, it was a fun episode for sure. All right, well, let's kick off things. Let's jump right into kind of our beginning. And again, this episode took place pretty much right after episode 9. He dropped the end of episode 9 on the speeder bike with Boba Fett's armor. And this is immediately afterwards, before he even gets back to Mos Eisley. He is ambushed by some more ruffians looking for the child, who thankfully is very sturdy, because that speeder bike crash definitely sent him rolling. But I think leading to just another fun fight. I mean, whenever we get to see Mando using his stuff and all of that, I think they've done some great choreography. And I personally loved the shot at the end after the whole jetpack bit, where the child and Mando just kind of share that look, where a child's almost like, well, did you have to go that far? And Mando's just, well, I mean, he took my jetpack. What else am I going to do? So yeah, I mean, it kicks off the episode definitely in big gear. So, well, since you were starting us off with that, why don't you let us know more about your thoughts on that ambush there, Rob?
Yeah, it made me think. This scene had a couple of things that I felt like were definite uh, homages for myself or nostalgia moments. Them setting up the wire made me think of Return of the Jedi with the Ewoks setting up the stuff for the stormtroopers, and that one particular stormtrooper takes it right in the neck. I remember like rewinding that part like so many times because he just goes, ugh! But Mando's not like a stormtrooper, and I love that when he hits that thing, yeah, he flies off it, he lands on his feet.
Yeah. Oh, using the pack to kind of do
Like
that.
he just boom comes down, and then because they think, oh, we've got him, and he just lays into these guys. And sure, the one guy gets his hands on Baby Yoda, but then after all is said and done, he makes the deal. He shoots it up in the air. Guy falls down. When the jetpack lands, this was the other moment that I thought of, was when it falls over, just like R2-D2 in A New Hope after the Jawas hit him. The way it just goes, boom.
Yeah, after it lands sort of perfectly.
It was such a great moment. And yeah, just it shows again, like in this episode, like the first one, if you mess with him and the kid and you mean them ill, it's not going to end well for you. But it doesn't mean that if he can't work with people. He won't try to do the right thing. It's just don't get in the way of him and the kid. As long as you know that, you're all right. So that was my takes on that scene.
Well, and I was pretty surprised when he even offered to trade with the jetpack. I mean, I thought he was going to try and like offer with Boba Fett's helmet or something, but he goes for the jetpack. Don, what did you think on that? Did you really think that he was going to make that deal?
I'm like, okay. Mandalorians are notorious warriors. And this one is one of the most notorious because they know who he is and what he's already done. You've just seen him destroy your three partners. And now you're deciding, oh, okay, I'm gonna hold the child hostage. I'm gonna take his jetpack. Why not take Boba Fett's jetpack instead, which he probably wouldn't have control over? But no, you take his jetpack while he's standing there with all these buttons and gadgets attached to his wrist. How do you think he flies the jetpack? Because as far as I've seen, we haven't seen any kind of Iron Man style heads up displays with any kind of neural networks. No, whenever you see people in Star Wars, Mandalorians especially, whenever they're going to fly their jetpacks, whoop, whoop, whoop. So, yeah, that absolute idiot move. And especially the fact, too, that he's on foot. Like, you're taking the Mandalorian's jetpack and you're on foot. It would be different if you had like a speeder bike or some sort of vehicle that you put the jetpack in to get away with. But you're there on foot. All he has got to do is run after you. Even if he decided, hey, I'm not gonna, fly the jetpack away. Okay, fine. Hey, kid, hold, stay right here. Obviously, these three guys are dead or at least knocked out. I'll be right back. Just run up to you, and you're done. So, yeah, stupid criminals are stupid.
Yeah. Deborah in the chat also mentioning, I was like, okay, something's going to happen. Didn't expect the remote control. And I think that's really kind of the fun twist that they had, because even when he handed, like you were saying, he's running away. I was just expecting Mando to pull out his blaster and shoot him. I mean, I guess shooting him in the back is kind of dark, but Mando. But instead, no, it's the messing with the backpack. I think I don't know. It's like it's the perfect thing again as a live action cartoon, as we're saying. It's very cartoonish. It's very kid appreciated. Is it the most necessary? Is it the easiest thing? No, but it's the most fun way to show that you've got your back in control. So yeah, I think it was.
Well, I'm all for
choice.
the cartoonishness. I'm all for that. Because I dig that kind of like, we love watching people fall down.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, yeah, it definitely is a stupid move on his part. He definitely should have asked for the Boba Fett armor. But you know, I guess he really doesn't know Mandalorians as well as the rest of the universe, because yeah, it all is all based on trust, right? Like if he's literally just going to give this to me and let me walk away with it. I mean, that was one optimistic criminal, you know.
Indeed, or ex-criminal. Now they're all exes. Yeah, like you said, do not cross Mando and the child. So yeah, that brings us, of course, back to our brief stop in Mos Eisley with Pelimato playing cards. I don't know if anybody really wants to talk too much about this. I think my opinion of this character is well established. Did love Dr. Mandible, though, for some reason. I don't know. The minute you say Dr. Mandible, okay, that I appreciate. I want to see more of Dr. Mandible. But that basically leads us to ultimately our passenger. And a few questions and thoughts on this. Okay, so the job is this passenger's husband knows about a Mandalorian. If he transports her to him so they can fertilize their eggs and continue their whole thing, they can they'll pass on that information and be able to give Mandalorian the next bit of his puzzle. Okay, cool. That's straightforward. Complication being, can't jump to light speed. Have to do this trip at sublight, otherwise the eggs will die. Okay, that's a nice complication. But interstellar travel at sublight speeds? I know this isn't our galaxy and things and distances and such are a little different, but how long are they supposed to be out there for?
I mean, well, you said it's the next system over. Now, the thing I'm wondering is, they're saying like the next solar system or next planetary system? You know, because, like, for example, you know, maybe it might be a grouping of planets where, like, all right, so people might think of like the inner rim or the inner ring of planets separated by the asteroid belt for us, right?
Okay.
So maybe where it is like still kind of in the same twin sun solar system, but separated by like a separated by like an asteroid belt or something like that. So yeah, you know, I don't know. And you know, it's funny, I was watching something a few days ago where they talked about Star Trek Motion Picture and how long it took the Enterprise to get from Earth to Saturn. And I think it took them about an hour and a half at sublight, like on impulse engines. So, you know, maybe a couple of days.
Okay. You know, honestly, it's a good thing. Tatooine is, you know, a planet in a twin sun systems, and it could potentially be another planet orbiting the other sun. That would make a lot more sense, personally, if it was some type of movement like that. Because, I was thinking otherwise, it's a total different star system. At sublight, that's going to take years to get anywhere. But I don't know. I'm not familiar enough, honestly, with the Tatooine system to know what the whole planetary setup. Rob, you got any thoughts or insights, lore insights that I'm unaware of on the formation of the Tatooine star system?
No. I'm kind of, when you say it, when it gets to me and that kind of question, and I'm like, I feel ashamed of myself because I feel like, as big a Star Wars fan as I've always been, it's one of those things like diving really deep into the lore has never been too much of my thing. I like to find out things, just like I'll read a comic book or I'll read a book and I know what I've read, but I don't really do too much research. But it is an interesting thought, because I thought the same thing was like, literally, we know of space travel is taking really, 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 really long. But yeah, how many planets are in their galaxy? It opens up a whole new can of worms.
Right.
But I just wanted to touch briefly, because I didn't want to talk about it either too long, was Pelimato stuff.
Oh yeah, no,
Her
for sure.
Her talking to Dr. Mandible, which I thought was a great practical effect.
Oh
Just
yeah.
a giant ant sitting there, a little bit more than just a giant ant. He looks a little bit more complex than that. But that whole scene kind of felt like she was BSing him the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like Dr. Mandible wasn't saying nothing. Like, he could have been saying, like, this lady does not speak for me. I don't know what. All those clicks could have meant anything. It seemed to me like she was driving at, I know somebody who needs to get off world. I'm sympathetic to this creature. She knows things. And you need to know, like, and it felt like she was totally playing him, not just from the bet, but from getting that person on there. I don't know if it's one of those situations where she's trying to make him a better man, though.
Oh,
but
that's horrible. That's horrible.
Oh my
God.
I just made that up on the spot. Okay, I didn't know I was going to say that. I didn't know I was going to say that.
I'm a dad. I appreciate good puns, of course.
But yeah,
awful.
better man, though. I'm sorry. I apologize. But it really didn't. It really felt like that he was being tricked the entire time.
No, I think you're right. I think that she totally knew all the information, was completely just playing that it was that it was Dr. Mandible's bet or anything. I think you're totally right there. I think she completely made all of that up and knew all that information ahead of time.
Yeah, because it just she wanted to, and she got some money out of him. So she got paid, and she threw him some business that somehow might lead to some information. I feel like that was the only part of the episode that kind of was disappointing, is we didn't get to that, at least the information part of it. Like, it's all hinging on him getting to the next place in episode 3. I'm hoping that's one thing, is that, like I said, take your time. We're not going anywhere, but hopefully we'll get that answer in the next episode. But yeah, the space travel stuff, I literally turned my brain off and said, whatever. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
we're on a clock. The eggs have to get to a certain spot. Fine. We've got 40 minutes to tell this story. If they wanted to, like, set up a whiteboard and start trying to explain it to us, I'd be fine with that too. But I'm glad that we just we need to get from point A to point B. We can't go sublight. It'll burst the eggs. Oh, but that's not going to matter. Half of them aren't going to make it there anyway, because they're going to be in the stomach of a baby.
Okay.
So
yeah, let's get into the whole Baby Yoda thing with eating the eggs, because it's been the constant. Deborah here has brought it up several times here in the chat. To summarize this episode: eggs, keep the eggs safe. Yoda, stop eating the eggs. Yoda, stop eating the eggs. Boiled eggs, frozen eggs. Yoda, really stop. Mama Frog protecting your eggs. Yoda sneaks one more egg. That is sort of a quick summary of this episode. Okay, look, I understand Baby Yoda's a baby, hungry, but it seems to focus an awful lot on these particular eggs, and the fact that we understand these to be the survival of this creature's lineage. How does that change our viewpoint on cute Baby Yoda? Is he a future mass murderer?
I certainly hope not, but yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, come on, man. Like, are you telling me there is nothing else that you can possibly eat on the ship? You know, that these eggs are just so enticing that I just have to eat the eggs. I don't know. It has to be the eggs. You know, I'm like, are you sure you're not having Jawa or something like that with the eggs, the eggs, the eggs? Yeah, I mean, look, I enjoy eggs. I had eggs this morning. I'm probably gonna have eggs tomorrow. But if I had someone who was sitting right next to me with a jar full of their eggs and said, "This is the last of my species unless I get these fertilized," I'm not gonna eat their eggs. So, yeah, I don't know. Listen, you know what? 50 years old. What he's essentially almost in the terrible twos for his species. you know, so yeah, he's still got a long way to go. He still can't talk yet, but we know he understands some things. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, hopefully not future mass murderer. Once he gains more, I guess, cognitive functions, he'll understand when Din Djarin is telling him, "No, don't do that. That is wrong."
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he understands fully the concepts of right and wrong just yet.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a fair point because I mean, again, for him, it's survival. He's hungry. This is food. We saw him eating the frogs before. Eggs are kind of a natural extension of that. Um, and I don't know. There is a comic aspect, and obviously he's not supposed to touch them, so he keeps sneaking them. That's comedy. It's funny. We like it. It's just, to me, it was just really interesting how much they personify the mom because we have it's an alien creature. Okay, so maybe we don't identify quite as much with it. Doesn't speak our language, so there's no communication. All right, but we understand that it's a mom. So we could already get sort of a certain understanding. And then on top of that, once she hacks into the ex-assassin bot's head and uses the translation protocol to try and push Mando into, hey, you made promises, you made a deal. This is definitely someone of intelligence. And yet we still have Baby Yoda going after those eggs. I don't know. It's just a real interesting series of choices, especially from a Disney show, to be then pulling the comedy off of. Well, okay, they're not, fertilized yet. I guess there's a couple left. That's all that's important, right? Just one to continue the line.
Well, I don't know how to make my own memes or gifs or shirts, but I'm predicting like there's somebody's gonna put a "once you pop you can't stop" thing together with the eggs on a shirt or a gif. Because he was just once he had one, it was like a delicacy, like how people think of caviar. But what I was wondering is like the metabolism of the child. I know that like we talk about this as a cartoon and everything, but he was. How does he eat all those? And like, how does he not have to go to the bathroom constantly? Like you never see him changing any Baby Yoda diapers or all the different trips to the bathroom that has to take. It's eating a lot. Like we've seen it eat whole frogs. Where's he putting it all? He's not getting a little, he's how we see little chubby kids, right? That it just have no boundaries put on them for junk food. But at this point, little Baby Yoda by the end of this trip should be like, puffed out, like little or like sitting there with a big distended belly and like letting out a very ill-timed burp or something like that in front of Mama Frog. But yeah, I that compulsory, like it's to him, it's it's instinct. Like it's the frogs, frog eggs. It's just going by nature. But I really liked the fact that this wasn't just, they could have had this creature just be a simple Star Wars background character that doesn't really have any. We don't know its mind, and knowing that it's intelligent enough to understand how to hack that robot means that this has a certain degree of like more intelligence than I have. I could never do that. To like figure out a translator robot and learn how to speak from it and everything. She MacGyvered the hell out of that thing.
Oh yeah.
And bringing up that the thing is like for someone that smart, you would have thought she'd be a little more careful with those eggs.
That's true, because he would keep going.
I'm just gonna leave them in the other room. They're fine. Like, and the fact that we don't know how many he got to before he got spotted. And it was like did he use the Force to bring them? Like, because it looked like they kind of moved when he first got close to the tank, and they all kind of like kind of moved towards him. I thought that was interesting. Like it doesn't really know what it's doing. It just knows that Mando's not feeding him enough. Because like, did you see like when he gave the child the little TV dinner crate dragon, and he's just sitting there looking at it like, I ain't eating this. I got caviar in the other room. Like, so maybe part of it is that it needs to be raw,
No, he seemed very interested in that crate dragon even after
kind of reasons that he's eating. Because what does man? Oh, we all went crazy for a second. Sorry, the screens all went weird.
Seemed really interested. Yeah, no, I mean he just seemed very interested in the crate dragon meat, both when it was raw and while it was cooking and being. So I think you're right. He just seems to have an insatiable appetite. Somebody I did mention in the chat, Envy here and Dev are both mentioning the gaseous nature of eggs as well. The Baby Yoda is definitely going to be there. There will be one shot. There has to be before it shows of just the bathroom door just opening up, a tiny Baby Yoda in front of it, and Mando just like, oh, what did you eat? And the way we're going, we've got to have one of those shots, I think, before this season is out. Of course, he knows what he ate. It was all the eggs. All right. How about those X-Wings? Again, another awesome thing about Star Wars is the space flying. This is one of the few shows that really does space combat visually exciting. I think it was Lucas way back when that really sort of set the stage for how ships are expected to move around. And this had everything in it. It had, like you said, Dave Filoni, and for anybody who was curious, that's Canadian actor Paul Sun-Hyung Lee, who is playing the other pilot. He's very big up in Canada. He's like twice Canadian screen winner. Also, excellent on Twitter. I found him today, followed him. He's already followed me back. So you should all go look for his stuff. He's definitely a kind gentleman, and seems to have a very interesting and cool Twitter feed. So definitely want to check that out. But yeah, I mean, X-Wings, when you put an X-Wing in Star Wars, it just brings automatic kid joy. And not only do we have the fun little back and forth about just trying to get his ship identity and pinged and what it all, but to me, the most beautiful bit was just when we have in the background, it all gets quiet and the one X-Wing in the back just goes, and those X-foils drop open. We see the other one. It's like, okay, now you know that it's on. I don't know. I guess maybe it's back to the first Star Wars when they say lock X-foils in attack position. That just always gets my blood going. But what about you guys? What do you guys think about both dealing with the X-Wings and the eventual fancy flying that follows immediately afterwards, if I can keep my alliteration going?
Well, listen, the moment that you saw the X-Wing, first off, even before that, when he was like, "Can you switch over to channel 2?" Like, oh, what's going on here?
Never a good sign.
Yeah, switch over to channel 2, and then the next thing you know, you just hear the sound, and you just look over, like, oh, 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 this is bad. So yeah, the fact that you have Mando, who's actually a pretty good pilot with a very old ship, because remember, pre-Empire. So, and think about it, we didn't see that ship in any of the Clone Wars, so that looks like it might even be pre-Clone Wars Republic era as well. So, I mean, think about it. If you're talking about a ship that at that time might have been plus 5 years after the fall of the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at a ship that's like maybe 30 something years old, or maybe even older, against X-Wings, which X-Wings at that point might have only been about 10 years old. So yeah, man, that's look, that was a sticky situation. And obviously glad that our boy made it out of there. But oh man, yeah. Situation I hope I never ever find myself in.
Yeah, Deborah in the chat mentions, "May the Force be with you." Got my blood pumping. I was like, something is happening, and yeah, that does bring in interesting stuff. I thought with Mando saying, "Oh, may the Force be with you." But he doesn't know about Yoda using the Force. So it's almost like "may the Force be with you" is like just this phrase that everybody uses without anyone knowing what it actually means. I took that kind of an interesting little moment.
I mean, you got to think about it. They're on the outer rim, right? And even on the outer rim, because think about it like this, right? In episode 1, the Jedi were almost kind of a myth, or like in Tatooine, right?
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, we've heard of Jedi before, but no one's ever seen a Jedi. So this was like, oh wow, this is interesting. So think about it. Years later, the Empire has done whatever propaganda that they've done, and so may the Force be with you. At that point, it's kind of, I'm trying to think of like a phrase that people would use today that we don't even know exactly where it comes from. It's just like a thing that we say, like, for example, okay, right?
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, okay actually comes from something, and me, like, it was a perversion of all correct. But most people, I would say 99% of people have absolutely no idea where okay comes from, but just everyone says it,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, may the Force be with you. Just one of those things. Okay, yeah, that's how we say good luck.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. It's just like one of those toss away phrases. But yeah, I thought, again, just kind of an exciting fight, and I did love. I mean, the Razor Crest is a bit of as what Envy mentions. It's a hoopty. It's an old ship. Definitely not going to be able to go toe to toe with an X-wing. But I loved how he sort of figured out a way out of it. Took that quick corner, blasted out some big dust as a smoke screen, flips the Razor Crest backwards and slides it underneath an overhang. I mean, that's pretty much as fast and furious as I think you're going to be able to get in the Star Wars universe right there.
I really dug this scene a lot. And we're finding a lot to talk about now that we're really into it.
Yeah.
I felt like this scene brought a good amount of tension, because it's as much fun is that you hear that noise, that and you know there's X-wings there. We don't even have to have our eyes open. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we know they're there, and it's played out like kind of tense, kind of funny. It was like Star Wars cops, right?
Yeah.
And who hasn't been there? Like, okay, it'd usually be the cop on the side of your car talking, right? But these guys are talking through mics, and it just feels like an experience a lot of us have had of like trying to explain what exactly, why are you here, or why were you going this fast, and trying to come up with an answer, and all doing it without the ability to express anything on your face.
Mm-hmm.
And we all understand that what Mando's face probably looks like under these circumstances, right? They were all just like,
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Come on. Like I wasn't doing nothing. Like, why are you hassling me out in the middle of nowhere, right? Like, did I have
Just
a
don't look in the trunk
or something? You know, like
just don't look in the trunk.
and yeah, and he's like, and just that the way that it was like comedic, and the way that they talked to him, and just it was just such a great moment. And then to have that just chase where, you get to see that the Razor Crest may be this like big kind of like beast that shouldn't be able to do anything. When you got a guy like him behind the wheel, you know, he can do crazy things. And I loved it that they were still looking for him. And really, you know, he just can't get, he's like, he just can't get pulled over. You can't get stopped. If anybody, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I can't get out of this car. You don't want me to get out of this car. I don't want to get into a fight right now. I can't afford to get into a fight right now. And he doesn't want to have the New Republic on his back for taking out a couple of X-wings. You know,
sure.
They actually, like, so it was just a really, that's what they call a sticky situation. And I just enjoyed the entire moment because it was tense, but it was funny, and then turns into a great action sequence that just sets up the next thing perfectly.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, we're fine. We're all good. And then the other shoe drops.
Or the Razor Crest, more specifically, dropping. And yeah, I'm really curious how much longer the Razor Crest is going to be around, because that ship has been torn apart more times in the past 2 seasons. But I think that may be part of, I was actually wondering when you were mentioning about getting the eggs to, maybe that's what happens in next week's episode. We saw the previews for this season. There's one shot where he's on a ship. Maybe that's next week where the Razor Crest has to be repaired and he has to take a ship in order to get to the next save. So maybe that's where we're going. Sorry, that just off the top of my head as we were thinking about this stuff. So yeah, on the planet, crashing down, and that leads to our big trying to survive. The big discussion about Mandalorian having to fulfill his word and deliver the eggs on time, which leads, of course, to a odd mom bathing with the eggs in the hot springs scene. I mean, I guess if you're freezing to death and you can sense temperature or warm spot somewhere, that's a good place to go. But unfortunately for them, also an area full of different looking eggs. And all I could think about when Yoda was going up was Alien. This was such, this is Alien right there, or Aliens, I guess, for more of them, if you want, which way you want to go. So we get a creepy aliens aspect and visual leading to if anybody who has arachnophobia had to freak the heck out in this last sequence, because the space ice spider attack was marvelous, beautiful, stunning, action-packed, and a throwback to the original series. The spiders we were looking back are called Krykna. They were originally concept art for Empire Strikes Back as a possible creature to run into on Dagobah. They're never used. Of course, our X-Wing pilot and Star Wars guru here, Dave Filoni, did bring them up in Star Wars Rebels. They appear in a number of episodes, more of a desert variation in this, but a way to bring a creation to life from an animated sense and now in a live action sense. So we get a lot of great callbacks in the midst of, God, just a terrifying, awesome creature chase fight. Thoughts, gentlemen? We'll start with you, Rob.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I want to talk about this is, and this is a weird segue, but I'll just follow me on this.
Sure.
One of the reasons the Men in Black series failed to me was that they didn't explore the world enough. You have this concept. Once you have that concept and you have this whole world, do something with it. And they never did. Not really. Mm-hmm. Not to me. Not as much as they could have. And what I love about this and what they're doing is something that I've always wanted from Star Wars is explore the worlds, explore the creatures more. I want to know all about these other places other than Tatooine, other than Coruscant. I want to see all these things that we hear about, like everybody, like there's always mentions of I had a run-in with this kind of creature on this planet, and we never see them. We just hear these things that pique our interest, pique our imagination. What is that they're talking about that caused them so much grief? And when all these, like a crate dragon in the last episode, and now we get these spiders, and even though, we saw a version of them in another thing, getting to see them in a different setting on a different planet, meaning that, not all these creatures are just on one planet. Sometimes there are different variations depending on the environments that they're in, and how they would react to those environments, how they react to the other things that, that go into their environments. I just love all of that immersion into the worlds to see that it's not just the Empire versus Rebels and other things. There's things alive and trying to live in these places, and just how our adventurers in any form, whether they're books or the shows or whatever, it just makes me feel like the galaxy is more lived in. And I really appreciate that. So, like, even though this is just another monster, like you could say, oh, just another creature feature. It's like, no, it's not just that. It is expanding on the world so that later on, someday, when somebody else mentions this and something else, you'll know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's the way to look at it, rather than, oh, well, it's just an insect or a frog or whatever. It can always mean something else later on. And that's what I really appreciate, that the detail of it. Like those eggs being like, yeah, definitely like alien. And to be honest, that's not what I thought. At first, I thought maybe this was where they were supposed to be. I actually thought that for a second. Like, were those eggs?
Oh, okay.
Were those actually, like, where she was sitting in the water? Was that the final product? Where if she put them there, would they hatch there? I didn't know. I was, when they actually turned into spiders, I was surprised. But then once you bring it up about after the fact and bringing up alien, that's way more suitable. But like, I don't know, it's something about when I watch this show really brings out the imagination in me and all the different ways that it is subverting my expectations in fun ways. And when it just starts out as a little thing and then they start cracking open and, oh God, and just how it builds and builds until you have this giant menacing, mama spider coming after them. It just was such a great way to, that the episode's almost over, that this is the climax of it. And I dug it, instead of always having to be on the run from people chasing you with blasters and lightsabers. There's other things out there that can kill you.
Sure.
And
no,
I think
I think that's a great way of looking at it. I mean, anything that's going to spark your imagination and get you in. I mean, it actually reminds me a lot of the asteroid chase in Empire Strikes Back. Going back to that film, when they land and they have the whole Minox attack them, and then they realize that they're not actually in a cave, they're inside of a giant space. So it's like, while they're trying to avoid the Empire, they've got to deal with the actual, life of the world and the universe. So I I totally get what you're saying. I think that's an excellent point to bring up, because we're here to enjoy the worlds. The more of those that we can see, the better. Don, you have any thoughts on our ice cavern adventures?
So yeah, you know what? I do kind of suffer from arachnophobia. Oh man! As soon as I saw what it was that the child ate, I was like, oh god, there's about to be millions of these things all over the place. And then when the giant ones started coming out, I'm like, oh my god! All right, how are they going to survive this? Because I mean, there's already a giant hole in the side of the ship. You know, uh, Mando was shooting down as much as he can. You know, he's throwing on a flamethrower. He's like, oh man, can't use the whistling birds because that's not even going to be enough for them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, how much fuel does his suit have left to keep doing the flamethrowers? He threw a couple of thermal detonators. You know, their effectiveness was negligible. Yeah, and then it's like I just kept like the first thing I thought though was when the child walked over, was like this damn kid again. Like seriously, man. You know, like I don't know. Is he just figuring out his taste buds or something? Because so far we have yet to see him. Excuse me. We have yet to see him spit anything out. Like I would love to have seen him actually open up the little egg and spit out the spider. Like, yeah, okay, you know, and
Sure.
then that kind of be the catalyst. Because if it, I don't know, is it me or that spider already looked dead?
No, I think. I mean, I got the impression that it was still alive. It just hadn't actually done its birth. Maybe it hadn't finished its process of really becoming yet.
Yeah, you know, there was a second where I thought they were frozen, and then when it opened up, I'm like, oh boy, oh god, no. Damn it, kid.
Well, it's like, and it's it's the one and the other, and then it's like, oh, now there's several. Now there's a lot. Now larger ones are coming. Now giant. Yeah, no, it was the perfect kind of build on the whole terror bit.
I'm like, oh, that damn kid. I'm like, you know what? Like, there's a tracking fob on him somewhere because that's how they're able to. Yeah, you know what? That's the one thing I'm surprised about too. How come they're still able to track him at this point? They didn't get whatever. Excuse me. They didn't get whatever implant surgically removed from him or something, or whatever it is that they're able to track him with.
Well, the fobs, they've been very unclear on exactly how this whole chain code thing works. But I think because they only had a little bit of the information, I think maybe you have to be on world at least for it to come in. Because in Sanctuary, they thought they could hide on the planet, but then when they defeat the Walker, that raises attention, and so maybe I was thinking, oh, maybe a one from the Bounty Guild just showed up to like, hey, maybe they're here, and his tracking fob goes off. So I think you've got to be kind of within range, which is probably at least on planet or close to, I would imagine. But no, they've been very unclear on how any of that stuff works.
Another thing that I liked about this part was the movement of the mama frog when she needed to move. Suddenly she was leaping on all fours. I thought that was a really cool. I mean, I assume that was all CG, but it looked really, really cool. And it also this end reminded me of some of my favorite like X-Files, where it's like there's no way they're getting out of this. Like you're in the cockpit. There's nowhere else to go. He is used up everything. He's just looking at a kid who could maybe force push some of them away. The frog lady's not got nothing left except for, she shot a few. and he's only got so much. And it really did feel like this. I love that kind of classic. You know they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You just don't know how, and how close to the edge can they take it before that release of, oh, okay, it's, you know, somehow the day is saved. But I love not knowing how it's going to happen. I love not even entering my mind that it would be the X-Wings that come and save them.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Such a great reveal.
I mean, and it really was, because I was in the same way. I was like, okay, well, they're going to seal themselves in the cockpit, and that's what's going to help them. And it's like the next shot is the two legs shooting through the cockpit windows. It's like, okay, well, that's done. You're right. They really did build up the, okay, I know they're supposed to be okay, but they look really screwed right now. And yeah, the X-Wing pilots coming around and saving their bacon. That was awesome. And the fact that they brought up the prisoner episode, was that chapter 6 last season, which is an episode that I really liked and not everybody did. But the fact that that's not only what got him in trouble, but what saved him as well. Because, yeah, I think the pilot or the guy that was on there, I think he was killed, but they had the video seeing that he tried to save him. Of course, he did leave the prisoners all there except for the one. And then he dropped off the tracking beacon there, which got that one blown up, that station blown up. So, yeah, it was kind of cool that, like, his good deed before, which kind of got him on the New Republic's radar, also saved him in that whole bit. I don't know. It was kind of a perfect full circle in my mind. Don, what did you think about the whole salvation bit in our chapter 6 callback?
Yeah, excuse me. I wasn't expecting that at all. When you first start hearing the shots going off, it was kind of like, wait, all right, well, who else is here? And then finally, when you hear kind of come over the radio, you realize it's the guys from the X-Wings. Like, oh man, you guys stayed around a long time looking for this Razor Crest, huh? And I'm thinking they must have picked up energy signatures, maybe from the weapons fire.
Well, a couple of explosions and stuff,
yeah,
maybe.
And then also maybe the movement from the giant spiders. And plus also there was the big hole there, so maybe they, one flies by and they're looking like, hey, what's that down there? So yeah, it was unexpected, but a pleasant surprise. So
yeah.
I feel like definitely what I was thinking at first when I first started hearing the gunfire was, oh, Boba Fett followed him. Like,
yeah, I was wondering a Mandalorian kind of pop up
like
here.
if that was like Slave One or something, just taking some shots at the spiders from outside, and I was like, that's the easy answer. And I was like, that's what I was expecting, is something along those lines. And what they gave us was something more unexpected. And that's what when you subvert expectations that way, that's how it works. That's when it works, because it's not just a callback, but to me, it also kind of mirrors a little bit the beginning of, he's in a bad situation. He could let this guy go or stay, and he could let him just leave with the backpack. He could let him leave with the backpack, the jetpack, and go on his way. But he doesn't. He doesn't let him get it. Like, he takes his thing back and he lets that guy die. Right? He kills that guy. Now he's in a situation where he's backed up against the wall. They saved him, and now they're negotiating, and they let him go. And they could easily have just blasted him, but now he has to realize there's another way of doing things. Like, did I really have to kill that guy? Maybe in the back of his mind. Like, could I have just chased him down? Could I just walked up and said, you don't really think I'm going to let you have this? You know,
Sure.
it's just kind of like, we don't know that. I'm inferring it, but I
No,
mean,
but
I
I
thought
think
it was an interesting take of like from the beginning to the end of this is that they could have just blasted him if they wanted to, or take him in and the whole adventure. I know that that's illogical but I mean, I mean, it's not illogical. They could have arrested him and that could have been the next episode, is him
sure.
having to be taken to the Republic and explain his whole situation of like, why do you have this kid? Why do you have this frog lady? Where are the rest of her eggs? And you know, the mystery of
There
the
were
eggs. She wants to
12.
make a formal complaint. When she started this trip, she had 150 eggs. Now she's got 6. All right. We don't want to put the child in, you know, space juvie, but you know, it could have gone another way. And I like the fact that they say they factor in what he did, and they did some math about weighing the good versus the bad of what he did, and they give him a pass. Kind of like, again, like when you're speeding and the cop says, I'm just going to let you out with a warning. You know, like.
Well, and I think they're interesting. I mean, one, I think you're totally right. That subversion of expectations that you think, oh my God, are these Mandalorians showing up? Is this Boba Fett with Slave One? Is this some other, you know, magical door opening? And no, it's a callback to the X-Wings that stuck around. And not only that, I think that it organically starts to develop a possible positive relationship between him and the New Republic. You know, he's had a couple of run-ins now. One, yeah, he raided a prison ship, but he left new prisoners there. And here, obviously, they kind of let him off on that with just the, you know, get your thing fixed, you know, get your tag fixed. You know, we're not going to help you out. We're not going to take your ship out of here, but we'll let you go. I think in some ways it starts to set these little seeds where he could have a positive interaction with the New Republic that could allow some type of, you know, adventure with an X-Wing squadron or something at some point, or you know, type of stuff. Sorry, I was a huge X-Wing book fan. I brought up my books last week. I just think that that's sort of an interesting way, because like you're saying, he's learning there's a different way of doing things, that maybe having allies and friends and working together is going to make you stronger and do better things. I think these are nice little stepping stones they could be laying for that potential direction if they wanted to take it. All right. Excellent.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry. I was,
Yeah.
There was a, definitely. I mean,
talking. Thank you.
Yeah, I do. You know, like Deborah's saying, you know, what if he had just, well, first off, he flew away. How else could he get the jetpack back? We were talking about that. He had the remote control to bring it back at any time he wanted to. But like, and Deborah's saying, that he could have brought him back and dangled him in front of him and be like, you know, you didn't really think I was going to let you take this, that kind of thing. Yeah, that was definitely an option as well. He can't change what he did, but he's probably, he might be thinking that now. But yeah, that whole situation really could have gone a different way. And the more ways that he's interacting with the world and how the child's changing him and all these different adventures, he's already so far, you know, so different than when he started. And when I'm really curious at what he's going to be like when he interacts with Boba Fett, like, because, you know, he's a true, you know, like Boba Fett's the clone of Django, and he's more of a, you know, even though Django is, you know, his backstory is muddled up, but Django and Boba are more Mandalorian than the Mando is. Mando learned the code. I don't know. I'm going to start talking out of my butt here in a second, but I'm just really curious of how that's going to go. Like, will he...
Oh, no, we're going to have a big lore discussion.
You know, like, or will his new ways kind of clash with Boba Fett's kind of like more mercenary ways?
Yeah, no, I think it'd be real interesting. And in some ways, both non-Mandalorians wearing Mandalorian armor, how much does each one sort of affix to the code or different codes? And that's actually at some point, if we get into more of one of the lore episodes, I really want to get into discussion about the possible different variations of Mandalorian code that may have developed over the years, depending on where people were. Because I think what he may find out is he's just living one subsect of a Mandalorian life, of which there are many others with different views and codes and ideas and such. So I'm really curious when they're going to get into that point. I'm assuming that'll be if Bo-Katan actually does show up as suspected.
Yeah, especially because we, from the Clone Wars era, and Rebels, we've seen plenty of Mandalorians without their helmets. And also I'm hoping at some point, I mean, the rumor is that they're supposed to do a Boba Fett series now. I do hope that we find out how he got his armor and what happened to his father's armor, because Boba Fett's armor definitely does not look like Jango Fett's armor.
I always thought that it might be modified, but yeah, there could be a whole different story there. And it's funny, we actually did have a long talk last week about where they might be going with Boba Fett. And just this week, they were talking about planned Mandalorian spinoffs. There might be something with Boba Fett, might not. So yeah, some of this stuff may be just in some ways laying roads for other in directions and jumps into the Star Wars universe, using the Mandalorian as kind of the new center of Star Wars, which seems to be how Disney is looking at it. All right, well, I think that kind of covers up everything. One thing I did want to mention out before we start getting to our closing directions is this Tuesday, fans of S.H.I.E.L.D. are returning, not just the three of us, but our own Agent Carter, Corey Shoemaker is going to be joining us. We'll have a complete group of 4 diving into season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We have all been rewatching, rediving in the whole season. It has been a blast. There are all sorts of new views and ideas. And honestly, just from the show not being on air anymore, it's just been fun personally, just jumping back in and reappreciating this journey. So if you are an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan, please try and come check us out live, 6 o'clock Pacific, 8 Central, 9 Eastern, this Tuesday. That is the 10th. We're going to be diving into season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's going to be a long one, but I think it will be a very, very interesting discussion. So please be sure to put that on your calendar. Other thing that I had wanted to share with everyone, but we keep going long on these. As a fan, I just got a 3D printer. I've been making my own armor. My first test was a very small helmet. It doesn't fit me. It only fits my daughter. So I'm actually turning into a female variant of the Mandalorian armor, a Sabine Wren paint job I'm going to try and do for that. So over the next few weeks, I want to start to share my development of my own set of Mandalorian armor. Helmet's almost done. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Here it is. Got it almost built up. I still got to do the lower lip parts, but almost assembled. Then we'll sand and paint and do all that stuff. But if you guys got any thoughts on what part of the armor I should do next, should I do the wrist rockets, flame-throwing rockets? Backpack will take a little while. Should I just go for the chest piece? You guys got any thoughts? Throw those down in the comments. I need a little direction on what the next piece of armor to build. Outside of that, though, I think that's pretty much everything. Guys, do you have any last-minute insights, thoughts, anything that I missed before we close out of here?
Yeah, real quick, I just want to talk about Dr. Mandible.
Please do.
This week's episode was actually directed by Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp director Peyton Reed.
Yes, thank you.
So it could be it could be Dr. Mandible has traveled through the quantum realm from a different reality here, and that he actually knows Ant-Man and the Wasp, or possibly Dr. Pym, or Dr. Van Dyne. So who knows?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I did have my notes, Peyton redirecting this episode, so thank you for that reminder. But man, there are going to be so many people playing inside the Star Wars realm with these shows. It's going to be awesome what we're going to get to see. Rob, you got any last thoughts, insights, things that we missed here today?
No, just that I can't believe I didn't put that connection together, man. That is amazing. I was sitting there going, Peyton Reed. Why do I know that freaking name? And then calling him Dr. Mandible. I mean, come on, that's so on the freaking nose that I just, wow, that is a great catch. I'm blown away. I have nothing else. That was great.
Yeah. No, I got nowhere to go. That's the perfect endpoint right there. That's why it takes all of us to really be Fandalorians. That's the only way I'm going to end this show off. All right, everyone. Why don't you let everyone know where they can find you? Let's start you off with the man, Don Lorian himself, Don Willie.
Yeah, listen, you can find me here with these guys. Saturdays, Fandalorians. Obviously, you can find me here doing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. next Tuesday. And I'm working on relaunching my channel. Who knows? Maybe no more Ice and Fire. Maybe something else.
All right.
Still working on it. But for the time being, look for me here, with these guys right here, my brothers. All right. So, I guess, Rob, it was your turn here. Take it back.
Well, yeah, you're going to see me here on Saturday nights, and then you're going to see me on Tuesdays. This Tuesday for the incredibly exciting Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1 discussion that is going to be freaking epic. I mean, I don't care. This is going to be the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. video to watch this series that we're doing. We're going in really deep, guys. We're going to have 4 opinions and 4 takes on all this different stuff. It's going to be just amazing. But also, we're always doing live stream watch parties for Amazon. Starting on the 16th of November, we return to His Dark Materials Season 2, the HBO show that a lot of us have been waiting for. We're going to be returning to that. And then, I'm just kind of winging it. We've got the Mandalorian reviews that I'll be returning to. I did take a break this week. Boba Fett will be back with episode 3. Probably discuss a little episode 2. He probably has some things to say. But during this time, it was necessary to take a little bit of a mental break. We're also reviewing underwater thrillers this month. So we're going to be talking movies like Deep Star 6 and Leviathan, we're going to try to watch, and we did do The Abyss, and we're going to get back to reviewing The Abyss as well. We found some other really crazy movies to talk about that are all, because I kind of felt like I was drowning for a while, and I thought it'd be really fitting to cover this kind of movie. So, yep, that's what's going on. Plus, we're always playing on Twitch at Smirking Gun Plays, all one word, and you can find me on Twitter at reviews_gun, and I'll stop talking now.
No. We need to know all of the things there, Rob. Thank you for letting us know. And of course, I'm D. You're watching my channel here with this awesome gang of people. We're going to be doing Fandalorians, continuing on through the end of the season. And of course, we are doing our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season flashbacks. Indeed, rest in peace, fascism. Not in peace, just die. Sorry, I'm a little cruel. But yeah, you can always find me here, both for Fandalorians, our big Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reviews, and who knows what other stuff may pop up on this channel. If you're subscribing, do that by hitting the button underneath and hit the like button. if you enjoy this, and hit notifications, let you know whenever any of these new reviews are dropping. And of course, you can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Darren Jakes. But that's going to wrap us up for now. Everybody in chat who joined us, Envy Warren, Devra, Silva, Surfer, Crom, Moxu, everybody was able to jump in. Mercenary jumped in for a little bit too. I see you there. Thanks all of you for joining us live here, and everyone who is watching us in the archive in the future. Thank you so much. I'm D, and we're out of here. We'll catch you all next time. Take it easy. Bye-bye.